Enterprises. We are the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Log on to WCEG Watch us live on your smart TV, on the Roku cable channel, YouTube, Facebook, Lukin, and now on Fanbase, Blue Sky, and Twitch. Search for WCEG and subscribe. Like, connect and follow us on all social media platforms. I'm Ernestine Pittman, host of Standing Up for the next hour. Today, let me do the disclaimer because you know I'm going to talk trash. The topics and opinions are those of the show hosts and guests and not WCEG Media Enterprise Inc. Okay, good afternoon. I want to talk to you today about an event that's coming up. No King's Day. I have heard such confusing and ill-informed statements made by everyday citizens. It doesn't concern me. We don't have a king. What is all this about? What is happening? It is unfortunate that over 3/4 of the people in this country do not look at local news or even a news channel. So, no, they don't know what is happening. But what is happening affects all of us, known and unknown. So today, I'm going to try and bring it home to you why everyone should be concerned about a king at the head of our government, which is a democracy, where the people rule, not one person, a king. I want you to think a minute about public safety. And I don't mean police and fire. I mean everything in your life that touches on public safety. Well, if you don't mean the police or the fire, what do you mean by public safety? I am talking about the safety that we all have because of the public. The safety that we all enjoy because of the public. If it were not for the public, we would be living in a chaotic, unruly, unsafe world. So let's see how a king could destroy what we now have in this country. First, let's look at regulations. You don't think about regulations often, even at all. The food you eat is regulated. How it is grown, what kind of fertilizers or nutrients that's in it, any kind of artificial flavoring or coloring that could hurt the body. That is because of the public. Somewhere in our history in this country, people became fed up with people dying and getting sick from food that was not prepared or grown correctly. So they did something about it. They protested until they got regulations for the Food and Drug Administration to come about. Any witch doctor or quack can sell you medicine or tell you what's wrong with you, or so you think. Well, the medicine profession has long undergone public support, public intrusion, because we are talking about our lives, and what goes on in it. Even today, we are stricken with state legislatures changing how women get medical care who are pregnant. If a woman gets an abortion, not even knowing that she's pregnant and something happens, and it is called an abortion if it's not about the birth is not brought to term. She could be sued in a court of law for murder. People have babies full term, never knowing they were pregnant at all. You can be 2 months, 3 months pregnant and not know that you are pregnant and do something, some exercise or whatever, do and all, and the baby aborts. But you would be tried for murder. That is what happens in a society where the public, the people, stop caring. No, men, you don't get pregnant, but you impregnate. And it is just as much your fault that a woman gets pregnant as it is hers. It is just as much as your fault that what happens during this pregnancy. You ought to be supportive. You ought to be there. You ought to stand up and speak out at every turn when anything comes up about the treatment of a woman and her body. You have a mother, sister, nieces, and girlfriends, and maybe one day a wife. Do you want that to happen to either one of them? The public, John Q. Public, is the one with the power, not the king. We don't need a king. We just need to stand up and support the laws on the book and make them better, not worse. The food that you eat, they have recalls. Even with the best of intentions, something can go wrong. What happens when children start dying from something in baby food? It is the cry and the uproar from the public. When anything goes wrong in the food industry and the public is made to suffer, who brings it to the attention of those who's supposed to be in charge? It is the public. You just don't sit back and say, well, this happens. No, it did happen. It does not have to happen again. All right? We're through with the food. But what about your clothing? You work hard for your money. And when you go buy clothing, you expect it to fit. You expect it to be free of chemicals and all that can cause irritation or harm to you. And you expect the place where your clothing is made to be clean and healthy for the people who are working there. Those are jobs. Those are jobs. We did not get regulation in the clothing industry. We did not get regulation in any business or industry without the help and the support of the public for yours and mine public safety. All right. Most of you heard about children working in factories, 6, 7, 8, 9 year olds. You heard about the many diseases and the many uh, instances in which body parts were harmed or crushed or our children just died. What caused that industry to turn around? Union, the public unions, they got out there and they fought. They lost their lives. They lost their jobs. But today we enjoy clothing made without people dying, without loss of limb, without having irritants in it that can hurt us. That is all due to the public, not a king, right? What about living quarters? We're talking about regulation still. Who determines what kind of products goes into the building of your home. The sheetrock, the lumber, the pipes, those are supposed to be regulated so that they do not cause harm to you, the people who will be living there. What about your rental quarters? You know, the first thing out of your mouth when you're in a hotel or a motel or any rental facility and something happens, I'm going to sue. I'm going to sue. What grounds do you have to sue them? What makes you confident that you can sue? Because of a violation of a regulation that the public put in place. The public put it in place to protect you. First storm comes up, you bought this new house, something happens, the shingles on the roof go one way, house pushed sideways, you go in to take a shower, out falls the faucet, you can sue because those things are regulated because the public went out and demanded that. Now let's talk about transportation. What about the car you drive? When you get into that car, it is with the understanding that everything in this car has been tested and is fit for travel on the road. That you're not going to suddenly lose the steering wheel, the brake is going to fail, you're going to have a fire engine. Those things don't even cross your mind when you get in the car. Why? Because of regulations. Regulations. That's your personal car. Now let's talk about public transportation. When you board a bus, a train, a plane, or a boat, you do so with the assurance that these businesses are being operated according to all regulations. That the plane you flying in, you're not going to suddenly lose a wing or engine falls out. That the train you're riding on is not going to suddenly jump the track and you going down a gully. The buses that you ride in are going to stall in mid traffic and someone hits you from behind on the side. A boat that you go out on the water, you're going to get back to the shore. These are regulations. And how did all these regulations come about that give you the peace of mind that you can live without having everything a worry? Regulations. People. Regulations. All right, what about public buildings? You go into the hospital. Anything that might go wrong, you are suing. Oh, you know how we love to litigate and sue in this country. Same thing with hotels. Same thing with theaters. Oh, it was overcrowded in there. They tried to make all this money. Well, the fire department tells you how many people can be where. And if that law is broken, yeah, you can sue. The regulations were not just found that says that they could extend what the fire department has stated as the number that should occupy this facility. That's because of the public. The public. Okay. Now we're going to go to recreation venues, parks, like Six Flags. Six Flags is heavily regulated. You get on one of those rides, you get hurt, you sue. If you're living, you might enjoy some of the money that you would get or your family would get it. What if there were no regulations? Would you feel comfortable riding on something that was not regulated? You gonna take your chance? No. Regulations. In a theater, it is against the law to cry fire in a theater or business when there is no fire. Why? Because you can cause a stampede and people are hurt. Regulations. Now let's talk about jobs. Even the job you work on, there are regulations. In the state of Georgia, which is a right to work state, you can't unionize. The state doesn't recognize certain unions, any unions. You can have them, but the state does not do checkoff or bargaining. But they do say if you are not a contract worker where everything is written out, your salary, your do's and your don'ts, managerial, management, then every non managerial employee is a civil servant. And under state law, there are certain things that you can fire or sue your job, you can sue your employer if they're not upheld. Then discrimination. There are regulations for that. And what did you as an individual do to get any of these regulations? Nothing. But as a body of people, a group of people, the public, we were able to get regulations that make our in place that make our lives better and easier. Now we have a king who would be a king if we allow it to come along and say all those regulations, which are, by the way, laws passed by state and national legislatures or the Congress or the Supreme Court ruled that way. These are laws on the books. If they're on the books, they stay on the books until they are repealed or amended. But according to convicted President Trump, he has the right to just write an executive order and wipe away any law he does not like, any regulation that he does not like. There are only two groups that can stop him: the Congress and the Supreme Court. Who controlled the Congress? You, John Q. Public. You decide by your vote who will sit in the House of Representatives or the Senate. You decide that. And when you don't vote or don't make an informed choice, then you are throwing away your right. And you are hurting everyone who have ever fought for that right and who continues to fight. Remember, I just said, a law is a law as long as it is in effect, can be implemented until it is repealed or amended. There has not been any credible evidence for President Trump to stop the regulations that he has that have been put in place for the safety of the public by the public for their safety. Now, businesses can take all kinds of shortcuts. The EPA, clean water, all of these things matter. And you need to wake up, America. Wake up residents here in Georgia and throughout the United States. Not anything in this country that has caused life to be better for any of us was not hard won and hard fought by members of the public. Some even gave their lives. Some lost their property, had to leave and go to another state. And here, you have the opportunity, not fearing for any of that, to participate in No Kings protest near you. And if there's not one near you, there's nothing stopping you and your neighbors and your friends from coming out of your houses and go walk along the sidewalk, or go to your city hall and walk in front of in front of it on the sidewalk, or go to a strip mall, wherever other people comes and walk along the sidewalk. And when they ask you, well, what are you protesting? I am protesting the fact that a child can go to school and not have food because President Trump decided he needed the money to fight a war. He needed the money to give a tax break to the wealthiest folks in the world. And he does not believe in social programs. He does not believe in people being poor in his world. You can't be around him unless you're a billionaire. A millionaire is just a stepping stone, a knock on the door. He is taking our taxpayers' money, your money and mine. Every cent that they talk about spending in the Senate or the House of Representatives comes from the public, not from him, not from his friends, but most of them don't even pay taxes. That is our money. But it is being taken from the neediest of us. Our schools, medical care. It is ridiculous. In the richest country in the world, you can't get medical care. It is out of reach, and you are working a job, sometimes two jobs. When the people in this country become fed up enough, then the public will rise up and things will change. Things do not change because of gossip. Things do not change because you curse someone out. Things do not change because you decided, well, I'm not just going to do it. And we still have laws right here that says certain things that you do, you will go to jail or you will go to jail for it. And those things are precious because someone gave blood for it. Someone died for it. Now we have a president sitting up there who could not serve in the army because of his feet. That he can walk that golf course. And how cavalier he is about sending troops, young men and women, over there to fight a war with Iran that we don't even know what the end game is, or really why we're over there fighting. Or we know why as a distraction because of Epstein. And why is that? I care about every one of our soldiers over there. I care about the school that was bombed by the United States Air Force. Or somebody dropped it. Those are children in there. They deserve the right to life, liberty, and happiness, wherever they are. And my heart bleeds for the people who are dying throughout the Middle East, in Gaza and Lebanon. Why are we fighting this war? Because the people we have elected and sent to Congress are allowing it. That is why No King's Day is so important. We put them there, whether we voted for them or not. You didn't just do your part when you went to the polls to vote. When the opposition took another person with them to vote, or three or four with them, or help sit in a ballot, by the way, which is part of the SAVES Act that Trump is trying to get passed to deny American born citizens in this country the right to vote because they can't find a birth certificate that may have been lost or held by a parent. You know your parents keep those things, you don't. And then when they deceased or move or whatever, it's lost. And if you are a woman and you marry, your last name is not the same as the name on that birth certificate. So you need to get a passport. Now, see how stupid this is. How do you get a passport with the same information that you got when you got your driver's license? That's it. The same information. But they want you to go to the expense of getting a passport, which, by the way, you can only get at post offices. We don't have embassies in this country for Americans to go and do. So they're talking about closing and limiting the days of the week in which the post office can operate, with postal services delivered to the people. We are who the losers will be. Save is not saving us. It will kill us. No more mail-in ballots. A person who is bedridden, how are they going to vote? People in senior facilities, how are they going to vote? Just because you've aged and you're no longer able to drive does not mean that you're not productive. Does not mean that you don't have the right, still have the right, the same right that you had before when you were able to get up and do. It is your right to determine who will represent you, who will govern where you live, who will implement and enforce the laws on the books, or repeal or amend those that are no longer useful or needed, but always with your best interest at heart, which is not the case here with President Trump. And you have people every day who are out there working, who are out there lobbying, who are out there protesting. If protesting, if protesting was not important, it would not be in the First Amendment. This country began on a protest. No taxation without representation. When the colonists in Boston decided to throw the tea in the harbor rather than give it to the British because they were taxing them without representation. King George had to go. American democracy began. It did not begin for everybody, but it did begin. And here we are today. What are we doing to make sure it continues? We have benefited from it, all of us. Social Security, you worked for that. And to hear some in this Republican government, it's welfare that they're giving you. And you know that's not true. And do you know the immigrants who are here illegally? The government collects over $1 billion a year in Social Security. And when they leave, they don't take that money with them. Check your data. Social Security has had a surplus every year. And when people who have worked, want a better life and all work, and then they're deported, what happened with their money? Who's making sure that that money goes with them? No one. Just like when we work. Social Security is taken out. Payroll taxes are taken out for every person that has a job. Where do you think that money goes? And if the public, you and me, and every John Q out there, and Queen Q out there, we need to be mindful that any law not treasured, not implemented, can be taken away. Even if it's implemented, it can be taken away. And we would not even know anything about it. Why wouldn't we know about it? We don't keep up with what is going on in our local governments, or our state government, or the federal government. You're so busy taking care of everybody else's business or whatever that is, or doing your thing, that the most important things in your life are being changed. ICE. Have you wondered why so many warehouses are being built in certain areas? Just like they came for the immigrants in the night. What make you think they won't come from you in the day or the night? How many American citizens are sitting in these so-called ICE warehouses? You don't know because you can't get in. A congressman was knocked down trying to get in to see what the law says is his right and responsibility. But you're going to sit out Saturday. You can't be called or counted upon to give 1 hour to get with your neighbors, your friends, make a few signs, or just stand out in front of your house, wave your hand. Another neighbor wave their hands. Go in front of your city halls. Go in front of a grocery chain store. Do not impede the traffic. But you can walk up and down the sidewalk. And you can let people know I'm fighting. Because this country will not have a king unless the public allows it. If the public do not stand up and fight, it will happen. It is pathetic. And it is downright disgusting, too, to know that not a single elected official in the city of East Point has said or is doing anything to promote participation in No Kings. Day on March the 28th. It shows you how much they care or understand government in this country. Our charter comes under the state, and the state comes under the federal government. So whatever executive order that disgusting convicted President Trump comes up with, local governments have to abide by it too. It affects all of us. Our public safety is in peril. It is endangered. And we are losing the battle because Congress, the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate and the Republicans in the House, except for one or two, have abdicated their duty and responsibility to you, the voters, by pledging and giving their allegiance to Trump, who would be king. If Trump says it, jump high, high. Congress says in the Constitution, we are the only one who can declare war because we are the only ones who are closest to the people who will lose loved ones. And when they come back home as veterans in all kinds of conditions now, because you're able to save more of them with the medicine uh, treatments on the field, what do you do? Our veterans are not given the treatment and the respect that they deserve. No, that Trump spends more money traveling back and forth to Florida and DC on his big, beautiful ballroom that the architect says too big to be built there, on luxurious parties, and had the nerve to cut veteran benefits. It is a shame, and that shame belongs to all of us. When we do not fight, we accept what is happening. It is as if we say, well, I agree. A child going to school no longer has a breakfast because the money has been cut. Farmers' food rotting in the fields and all no longer can be transported to these schools and all to give to them through these programs. And we are sitting by, complaining and whining. Where is your backbone? Where is your spine? You said you love your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandfather, or even a great grandparent, sisters and brothers. Oh, you love them. What are you doing to protect them? Oh, I send money. Those few dollars and all that you send is compares to nothing if you can't pay for a nursing home equipped and staffed that they can't afford. Did you know they're closing every day? Are you ready to take in grandma or great grandma? Do you have the space, the expertise in the healthcare industry? It is hard as dickens to find a person to come to your home to help out with a loved one. I know. When a loved one at your home becomes ill and can't walk and have to be lifted or changed. Can you do it? Do you know of anyone that can come and do it for pay above what would regularly be paid per hour for them to work to get it done because you are desperate and you need the help? It could be you one day. And don't lie there and say, well, somebody should have done something. Here we paying all these taxes and oh, shut up. While you can get up and do. Get up and do, if not for your own public safety, but for the public safety of all those who are around you that you say you love and care about. That's the message that's needed to be sent to convicted President Trump. In America, we still care about the people. We're not going to let you divide us along the lines of race, gender, religion, national origin, or any other asinine test you can come up with. Are you aware of the havoc that he has caused in our colleges and universities, where Black professors were in a program that would help ensure that they would end up teaching on college level, not because they did not have the qualifications, but because the colleges were hesitant in hiring them because of certain prejudice that's associated with blacks. Ridiculous. And the money was not coming from the federal government. But convicted President Trump decided, if you're going to have that program there, we're going to cut off federal help. And where is these federal dollars that he's cutting off to these universities coming from? Don't we have taxes that we pay? Don't we have Social Security that we pay for? Don't when we go to the stores and certain things where you have to pay federal tax, is there something that says if you black, gay, whatever, a Catholic, a Baptist, a Jewish, um, Methodist, you don't have to pay taxes. We're not going to take your taxes because we are not going to ensure that you are treated like every American in this country that lives in the United States or traveling outside of the United States. Oh, now he's trying to come up with a new birthright. It's not enough that you're born in this country. If you're born in this country with born with one American parent, whether you're in this country or not, you are an American. If you're born on American soil, whether or not you have an American parent or not, you are an American. You can become an American citizen by naturalization. Now, of course, he has a problem with that. Melania was pregnant before she became an American citizen, and she had her son. Speed it up to get her in this country. Now he wants to talk about immigrants. Have you looked at the wives and girlfriends and all? A lot of his cabinet folks and all, they are immigrants, especially the women. But all at once, immigrants is a bad word. Here comes ICE, treating people as if they are stone criminals. And these are our neighbors, our friends. They live in our community. They're not causing problems. And I am so sick of whenever an immigrant is charged with murder, it makes headline news. What about homeboys, homegirls? They're killing at somebody every day. And what are we doing about that? What are we doing to create a better situation so that that will not occur? And who is doing all this shooting in these schools? Not the immigrants, not the blacks. Let's own up to it. We are not going to be white Nazi Germany that it never got to be. Hitler went down in defeat, and Trump is going to go down in defeat, especially when the people decides enough is enough. Enough is enough. Our public safety in this country is more than compromised by having him in the White House. Every facet of our life has deteriorated since he entered the White House. What laws or legislation has he tried to sponsor or get passed that would make any of our lives better? Unless you're a millionaire or billionaire, how have we prospered? Jobs are being lost every day. AI is growing. Convicted President Trump wrote an executive order. States cannot regulate AI. AI is becoming more inclusive in our lives. It is taking jobs. Where are the people going to go to work to get another job? Their families have to be fed and clothed and sheltered, just like when they had a job. Have you thought about that? We can live with AI, regulated. Unregulated, it is going to be a disaster. You may not know of anyone who just recently lost their jobs, but here in East Point, there are those of you who have families or yourselves that work in Atlanta, in the school systems around where you live. They are having to consolidate schools. This school year will end with teachers getting pink sheets saying your services will not be needed next year. Now, if that is being done statewide, and which it is, schools, children, where are the children? If people are not having children, then we know we're in trouble. Who in the hell is going to take care of us when we get older? I am 80 years old. I can't afford to have someone to help me to work out for me. But what about the other people? And how long will I be able to do that if facilities are not there that I may need to help me with my illness or what have you, uh, a place to go, the staff? Only the rich will be sitting back. And that's the multi rich. The millionaire today sneezed upon. I mean, oh, so you're a millionaire. Is that because we have levels of millionaires? If you have $1 million, baby, that's just like somebody having $1,000 in the bank and calling themselves a thousandaire. $25 million in New York, in the city of New York, does not qualify you as a millionaire. Anybody can have $25,000 that the number is so large. Read, listen, and then get ready to do something. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to those you love, and you owe it to the public that has gone before you and the public that is here now working for you to join them. You need it because you are a human being and you should demand respect every day, no matter how poor you are or how destitute you are. You are somebody's child. You are a person of worth, if only in your own eyes. God didn't make any trash, and He certainly made me, and He made you. Now, what are you going to do? Have a pity party because you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth, or because you have been made unhappy? You lost a job, so you threw with jobs. How are you going to live? And there were rules and regulations there. If you did not follow them, you were supposed to lose your job. If someone had it in for you, or they would get theirs in the end. But we are talking about a way of life. That is what convicted President Trump is trying to do. He is trying to take our democracy, make himself king, and have his court around him. No laws in place. But we know the Senate has abdicated. The Supreme Court is getting a tad better. It's the courts before there that's been holding up, even his appointees. Right is right and wrong is wrong. The Lord did not promise you heaven on earth. So we have work to do. Not I, not you, but us. We have work to do. And we can start by attending a No Kings Day protest this Saturday, March the 28th, at some venue. They are listed out on social media that you love to listen to. Tell your grandma, tell your aunt, your uncle, I'm coming by, I'm going to pick you up, and we're going to go to a smaller town. Like we're going to go in front of the courthouse. All you need is a poster. It says No King's Day. Don't need but one for the front and one for the back, if the line is that long. But let the people know that you care, that you stand for something, and that you are important, and that you understand what public safety means. Unless the public is safe, no individual in that public is safe. Public safety. You owe it to your children, your future grandchildren, to future generations, whether you have any or not. But you owe it to yourself. It is in this moment in time that life calls out to you and say, or rather ask, will you take a stand? Will you take a stand? We're not asking for money. We're not asking for your life. You don't have any fear of being beaten up, carted off to jail. You're not going to lose your job. You're not going to lose your house. You're not going to have it burned to the ground. But that has happened to people who were fighting for your public safety. Can you do less than taking a stand in front of a building on No King's Protest Day, March the 28th? Atlanta is having one. Garby Road, South Fulton County, on Garby Road, on the corner there, is having one. But look how many places that you pass to get there that would make a suitable place. A sidewalk is all you need. That is all you need. And you don't need 100 people. 5, 10, 20, 15. That is going to add up. Take a stand. Be somebody, if for just one day, be somebody who cared enough to take a stand. What is 1 hour of your time out of a lifetime of having had the privilege of living in a country regulated by laws and the people that you voted to put them in office? Now, for those people that's in office, they're going to look to see just where these people are protesting from. Because mine, you mean, any elected official with any sense knows if you take the time to go out there and protest, you're going to take the time to vote. You are those voters who send them to office. And they will do well to heed what you, the public, says about that. And Trump knows that. He can't stand bad publicity. He wants adoration. He wants fealty. He wants to be the big chief every day, regardless of what he does and how hard his foot comes down on the back of those who are out there trying to make a living. It is time for us to put boots on the ground and feet on the street. It is time for your boots to hit the ground, for your feet on the street. It is time for you to take a stand. And I believe that there are those of you in East Point who will be doing just that. It doesn't matter to me personally whether you take a stand or not. It should matter to you and your family whether you do. I will be out there on Saturday, March the 28th, with my boots on the ground and my feet on the street, the sidewalk. Now, don't get out there in the street and get hit. On the street with my sign. And I will take grandchildren that's big enough to walk. They don't have to go to the restroom or go to bed or what have you, but can be out there for an hour. And if you want to join me, come on. And if you don't, find someone else to join. But do something. Take a stand. Boots on the ground and feet on the street. I hope to see you Saturday on the news or with me in front of City Hall, walking up and down in front of it, or around it with a sign. I will be there from 12 to 1 o'clock. From 12 to 1. So if you want to come up there from 12 to 1, I welcome you. And let's see how many of our elected officials show up. But we're doing this because it is the right thing to do. With that, I'm signing off. Boots on the ground, feet on the street, because you're taking a stand. Goodbye.